Welcome!
Welcome to the Omniverse of Nick and part 4 to What If Roman Reigns Was in The Walking Dead. Before we get into it, be sure to check out the Omniverse's homepage where our channel mascot Omni will direct you to the Discord, both Google Docs, and everything else the Omniverse has to offer, along with smashing the like button, subscribing to the Omniverse of Nick, turning on all Omniversal notifications, sharing the Omniverse around, and commenting future requests and expectations in the comments section. With all that said, let's begin. We left off last time with the introduction of the dam, or, the introduction for the bloodline. Enter the dam. Tama Tonga and Tongaloa, the Tongans, and Sami Uso, not Sami Zayn, enter the bizarre part of the dam. And JC Mateo and Nia Jax go to the main part where Lola and Dufresne and, the main stuff is. Sami gets in a sort of good mood and tries to get in a good vibe with the authorities, but they ain't pushing overall without any kind of, payment or name, something like that. Typical authority canon fear stuff. But Sami just smiles as the conversation goes on. As it gets darker, he says, I wasn't asking. And then the Tongans just rush through and they spear, kick, punch, and just brutally attack all the authorities that are in their way to get through to the main part of the bazaar. And yeah, true, a bunch of the people have guns and they're trying to fight, but with how brutal the Tongans are and Sami Zayn's ruthless nature, they're managed to get through without getting hurt. But then Strand, who returns because he owes the authorities, gets Helluva kicked by Sami, and then a fight between Strand and Sami rings out. But that kick was the main thing that leads Sami into any kind of win in this fight, because Strand is just that much more powerful than him. And that kick, that was the closest he's going to get to winning the fight. And then Sami is just down on the ground, waiting to get killed. But Strand says, I'm not going to kill you. You're not worth it. Sami is just like, what? He literally thought that he was about to die here. And Strand says he knows that he's affiliated with someone or some people. And if he was truly going in for a kill, he would have done that already. He can tell that Sami's not a ruthless guy. He's just forcing himself to be. Same with Strand. But Strand does want to know who he's with, why he's here, and why he decided to pick a fight with him randomly. Or is he just a lost soul in this world? Sami is like, well, this was unexpected. I thought that I was going to die today. And Sami smiles and says he's thankful that Strand spared him, but he also does say one thing. He is with other people. And he isn't the only one here. And he's not the most ruthless. But he knows a couple people who are. And the fact that Strand will acknowledge them. And then he gets slammed to the ground by the Tongans from behind. And Strand is like, what? And he thought he was actually getting a conversation going with Sami. And he did that. And Sami's like, did you honestly think me and you were going to become friends just like that? And Sami just says, no. You're coming with us to help us take over this dam. And along with the authorities that my friends, the Tongans, have taken care of, you and the main figures here will acknowledge not only the bloodline, but your tribal chief, Roman Reigns. And so Strand is taken prisoner by the Tongans and Sami as they make their way towards the main part of the dam. Lola and Efrain, without Daniel, are more misguided and unsure as to what to do, but they have to do all they can do, even if Lola's getting punished for it. Nia Jax then enters at the seam in which Lola and Efrain and anybody else would be, mainly those two. And Lola talks in, Spanish about who she is, what she's doing here, and what does she want. And Naya's barely understanding what Lola is saying, so she demands actually someone who actually knows what she's saying. Efrain basically translates for her and demands to know who she is and what she's doing here. Naya talks to both of them and says her name is Nia Jax. She is a part of a group, a bloodline, if you will, and she has come here to talk business with the people in this establishment at this dam. Because clearly, she says, this dam has worked out for them, even as two people. And they have been watching, and she and her people have been watching them for quite some time. And the dam seems to be operating under new management from the last time they truly looked at it. So, Naya proposes a deal. She demands the water and the dam be operated under bloodline management. And in return, Lola and Efrain here get to live and operate with the bloodline and her and her people. All they have to do is acknowledge her, the bloodline, and their tribal chief, Roman Reigns. But Lola just says in Spanish, no. Efrain translates and says, we don't know what you're about, lady, and we certainly aren't going to give up this dam. This is our home, our responsibility. You can take this tribal chief banter and go talk to the others who are struggling down below. We don't have time for it. Nia Jax says, it's a pity, really. And then, with Tour of the Islands done by J.C. Mateo to Efrain, slamming him into the ground, Nia Jax just angrily says, I wasn't asking. You will acknowledge the bloodline. And Lola gets a gun up after Efrain slammed to the ground by Tour of Islands. But then Sami, the Tongans, and Strand as prisoner show up behind her, and she can't do anything. Nia smiles and says, you will acknowledge the bloodline, whether you're with us or not. You can suffer with the others until you come to your senses. Strand, Lola, and Efrain are put in a prison cell as the dam, its water, and all its residents are taken over by the bloodline. Meanwhile, Troy is getting every inch of punishment after he's dragged away by the bloodline after Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed are brought into the mix. After all the punishment that Troy has endured, with these two at the helm, what more could possibly break him into acknowledging Roman Reigns? And even if he does, will he live to tell the tale after? What will even happen to him? And with the dam under bloodline management, will it ever be gotten back? What new threats will come to the bloodline with it seemingly taking over so easily? And what will happen leading towards part 5 and the future of what if Roman Reigns was in The Walking Dead?
Now get out!
What?
Get out! Everybody get out!